Finally.
There are mountains of material that help document the growth of individuals. Photographs, videotapes, and even more recent innovations like YouTube and social media can help a person keep track of their lives and note the changes. Vlogs can be extremely surface level or superficial looks at how people live their lives, and comparing the early moments of those recordings to how you behave or live your life now can be extremely cathartic. But I wanted to look at something a little more subtle, something I myself still have issues with accepting and working on. And in order to do this right, I wanted to frame this subject around my absolute favorite filmmaker, and how his work ethic and growth has inspired me to constantly do the same.
3, 2, 1, Happy New Year!
God damn it, I overshot it!
I started watching Dom Farah's videos, I'm sure as many people did, not long after stumbling upon the Laser Collection. The series of gag videos were always Dom's most popular uploads, and as I was just being introduced to his channel, the third installment was set to release. I knew nothing at the time. All of my filmmaking experience was genuinely bad even for a beginner's standards, but what I did know is that Dom made me laugh. And not just from those short animation videos. His sketch comedy videos, unpolished and unprofessional as they were, reminded me that video and sound quality aren't the make or break factors in filmmaking. My response was still emotional. I laughed, I got sad, I was unsure and uncomfortable. And as his videos continued to come out, I began to realize something much more evident. Growth. Dom Farah's progress in filmmaking is insanely clear. It's not hard to see where work was needed in previous projects, what was learned personally as time went on, and what the more formal aspects of cinematic language taught him as he furthered his education at NYU Tisch. Beyond technicality, I wanted to focus on a more sentimental side to growth, one many of us are familiar with but don't quite encapsulate in the same way throughout as Dom Farah does. His work is the distillation of one particular aspect of growth. Dom's movies are educational. At least that's how I see it. I recall for a while being entranced by the idea of making movies for arbitrarily superficial reasons, forcing laughs, manufacturing drama that wasn't genuine, making things up as I went along. A lot of this came from my young and naive understanding of what movies were, and a lot of that hasn't changed, but what has changed is how I go about eliciting those reactions, the care I take and how I utilize film as a medium. Now, I'm no high artist, I know this. But if I've taken anything away from Dom Farah, it's how this growth can help teach a person what growth is. Objectively, it can be very hard to be open to change. Artists have visions, ideas, and thoughts that shape their critical and artistic lens, but having a person whose work you admire greatly as late as now, or even as early as a decade ago, to show you offhand the effects of change, positive or negative, is a useful thing. Now, I'm not saying go to every director and content creator you know and demand they show you their earliest works. That's not my point. My point is that those that have the courage to see what they've made, objectively acknowledge the potential for growth they possess, and then act on that idea by pushing themselves to improve, to be constantly working on larger and larger projects, to remove themselves from comforts and surround themselves with the medium they want to improve themselves in, and to do so over more or less a lifetime. Those people are beyond admiration. They become a template. Archiving growth and change is easy on its own. You can see the difference in who I was 7 years ago from who I am now at a very superficial level by just looking at the way I talk, how I dressed, who I hung out with, etc. But archiving creative growth, the technical and narrative priorities between years of time, is a much more personal and specific thing to document. It's by no means the only thing, but it's definitely, in the case of any aspiring creative person, a useful one. Growth is incredibly important, because if we don't grow, we're settling, and if we settle, we hold down our potential. Always find and draw inspiration from the entirety of an artist, not just what you like. Absorb their mistakes and their triumphs, the things that made you think, the attempts, and the finished products. Eventually, you'll find yourself on a similar path, always learning. Shout out to Dom Farah for keeping me on a path to learning more about myself and the stuff I want to make. Thanks for watching.